Okay, well, hi everyone. Thanks for watching and welcome Omar, who is, as everybody I think knows, the president of ASI, and I'm so pleased to be talking with you today.
Hey, Provost, how are you? So good to see you.
Yeah, good, good. It's a warm day, but really looking forward to this because it's such an important thing that we're talking about. So let's sort of get right into the talk. And I mean, what is motivating you to vote this year?
Well, yeah, it's an important election for starters. There's a lot at
Good.
stake here,
Uh-huh.
from women's rights to, our LGBTQIA plus community to, our undocumented community. But I'm primarily voting for starters for my family. I have a younger sister that's not of age, but I want to make sure that she grows up in an America that's inclusive, and that gives her the opportunity to propel herself as an independent woman. Um, and for diversity, I think Long Beach reflects an amazing diversity that our country has, and I think it's important that we take that to the polls. And just most importantly, also for my fellow classmates or student scholars, it's important to I'm doing it for them. For those that unfortunately don't have the opportunity or the eligibility to vote, doing it for them. What motivates you to vote, Provost?
Well, I'm an immigrant, and the country I came from is South Africa, which was under apartheid rule when I left. And for those of you listening, yesterday was the first debate between Trump and Biden. And when Trump would not condemn white supremacy, I thought, hey, I've lived in a country under white supremacy, and that's just not acceptable. So, in addition to all the great things you've mentioned, I am voting for that reason. I know that the vote is just such a precious thing. People have fought and died for the right to vote, and so I'm not going to waste it. And I think, the other reason I'm voting is to say no to cynicism, because one of the cynical, manipulative political efforts, which we can see all around us, is to convince us that our votes are valueless and it doesn't matter and we shouldn't vote. But actually, they're very precious. And I'm not cynical, I'm an idealist, and so I vote.
That's awesome. Question for you, Provost. How do you plan on voting this year? By mail, at the polls, early voting?
Well, Ben and I have actually been permanent by mail voters for a long time, and we have a tradition that as soon as we get our ballots, which should be quite soon, uh, delivered by the very faithful post office.
Love our post office.
Yeah, isn't it true? And I mean, again, there's another cynical attempt at sort of telling us that things are falling apart and it doesn't work, things aren't working, but they are. As soon as we get our ballots, we sit down at our dining room table and we go through each and every page of the ballot. We look at information that tells us about things that we're not too sure of. We check with resources that we trust. We call friends, and after a few days, we fill in our votes and mail them off. And so that's how we're planning to do it. Although I did think that because we have a voting center on campus this year, that I might do it there. And then I reminded myself that I'm not actually on campus. So I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet, but either by mail or on campus. How about you, Omar?
Well, I'm also going to vote by mail, and because of that, I'm going to make sure that I register by October 19th. I actually am going to register after we're done with this call right now. But yes, to
Good. I'll stand over you while you do that.
so yeah, anyone watching, don't forget that the last day to register, if you're going to vote by mail, is October 19th. And if you do end up, for whatever reason, having to vote in person, you can do same day registration at the polls. And for those of you, don't forget to join our ballot bowl going on here at Long Beach. You can click on, go to our website and find the link to vote to register online, and it'll give us points as we're in competition with some of the other CSUs.
Does that apply, Omar, to faculty and staff as well, or just to students?
Actually, I believe faculty and staff can also participate in that as well.
Terrific. So I'll go and click on that as soon as I can. Then it's good to know that I count, which is point of voting, I suppose. That's great. Yeah, I think last time, where did we come in the CSU competition? Wasn't it third or something like that?
I believe so. And last time I checked, you were like 5th place or something. So we want to get up to 1st place.
Absolutely. Okay, well, you've got 1 vote here. So thanks for reminding me to do that. And faculty and staff, remember, you can vote too. So that's terrific.
So on that note, yeah, I was just curious, how are we encouraging faculty to vote?
Well, I think the same way that that we encourage everyone to vote. I mean, you know, there's quite a lot of good demographic information, and college-educated people are very likely to vote. But for those who may forget or may be busy, there's certainly going to be a provost's message about voting. So that's for sure one way for the, I suppose, relatively few people who watch the provost's message. Maybe it'll remind them.
I watched the provost message.
Okay, well, that's one of you. Okay, now I just have to find the other person. So, but yeah, so the next provost message will focus on the election, actually, and its importance not only to the whole nation, but to California and actually Cal State Long Beach, because there are quite a few things that are important for students, things like tuition for universities, support for higher education, as you say, building the country for you who are going to take it over. And we're absolutely sure, or I am absolutely sure, that young people like you are going to do a better job than we did. So do you know that this election is quite a historic one? It's the first election for a very long time that baby boomers like me will not be the largest group of voters. And so it's a transitional election in many ways. So one of the things that's always puzzled me is why younger people don't vote in large numbers. Because politicians and elected officials really do respond to their voters. And if young people voted as much as, say, old people like me do, then I think the country would be a very different place. So don't fall for the cynical propaganda out there telling you not to bother to vote. The elected officials respond to your vote. People, as I said, fought and died for the right to vote. And for some of you who are old enough, you might even remember the mile-long queues of people in South Africa voting for the first time, standing in the hot sun for hours and hours for the privilege of casting their votes. We made it much easier for you, so go out and do it. How about you, Omar? What are you doing to encourage people to vote?
Well, I think you mentioned something very important about young people not voting. And I think part of the issue is that, unfortunately, we don't find, especially in politicians nowadays or in our leaders, necessarily, it's very difficult to find someone that's, one, relatable, and two, someone that excites us, right? And again, it just goes back to promises made, promises not kept, right? Or promises that were broken. And again, sometimes I think even just, if you look at, on the large scale, a lot of young people that are going to be, the next voting demographic are from marginalized, underserved communities, right? And a lot of that comes from not, being able to have had the resources to become educated and or motivated to vote, right? And it's not their fault. It's not our fault. But again, now it's up to us to help empower each other, to uplift each other, to, get out to vote. And ways we could do that is by, holding open spaces, holding discussions, holding virtual debate and election night, Zoom parties and stuff, right? You know, on the ASI front, we're trying to do as much programming as we can by releasing videos and stuff like that. You know, trying to release objective, like, you know, information regarding to the propositions and the various, you know, folks that are on the ballot, et cetera. But I think it really just comes down to hopefully having someone one day that can really just relate to us, that comes from the community that, you know, we all live and represent, right? But someone that can really just, you know, heal the wounds that for so long have divided our country, and that really can, you know, compel folks to, you know, show that to demonstrate to folks that they have great respect for our democratic institutions. Um,
You know, it's also, I have a great belief in just the regular person. I mean, I think that's what democracy is based on. And, you know, I think of my grandfather who came to South Africa in 1930, and he was a tailor. He had I think, a third or fourth grade education, and he was not educated, but he understood the power of the vote and what it gave him, and he was able to discuss politics at the level that any one of us could discuss. And I think that that's what democracy's strength really is. It doesn't depend on an elite. It depends on everybody. And if you only let the elite vote, then that's the voice that gets heard.
right.
So even if someone doesn't look like you or represent you, and certainly nobody in South Africa did, if you don't vote, you're losing your voice. So the more people like my grandfather and all the other immigrants and diverse treasure of the United States, the more those people vote and make their voices heard, the better it'll be for all of us. So I'm quite passionate about it because I really do believe in democracy. So it's important. I think it's also part of staying healthy, you know, that you want to participate in the society you live in, not only participate, but contribute. You know, don't remove yourself from society. Don't separate yourself from people. And sort of, I guess on that note, sort of, what have you done lately to kind of stay healthy, stay calm, stay mentally alert, mentally happy? It's a tough time for everybody. And
Definitely. Well, in case you can't tell, I'm an extrovert. I love being around people and, you know,
you're
just
kidding.
But yeah,
I'd
so the
never have
last, you know,
noticed, Omar. I'm an extreme introvert, in case you don't know.
it was a little rough at the beginning, but now, you know, as things are slowly starting to get better, you know, during quarantine, I've enjoyed a lot of Zoom hangouts with my friends and classmates and just trying to catch up, maybe catch a Netflix together all together, or even, like, you know, having dinner virtually. But recently now, what I've enjoyed the most is going out on socially distant beach walks. Just very refreshing, especially with it being so hot outside, right? And
Yeah, right.
the wildfires. And again, to anyone watching that's suffering from the wildfires, we're thinking of you, and we're here for you. But yeah, just trying to, you know, take in the waves a little bit and just, yeah, de-stress from what's going on in the world. What about yourself?
Well, I just love what you said, because I think being in touch with beauty and in touch with the natural environment, even though it's a little bit spoiled by our actions to date, it's still beautiful and wondrous, and it's great to be in touch with it. And yeah, I guess Ben and I have also been doing that. We live sort of in Highland Park, so a little bit too far from the sea to go for a walk. But we have a little garden which we've been trying to make beautiful. And actually, we planted things in February, just before this whole COVID nightmare began, and things are growing beautifully, and we water them and deal with them. Somehow dealing with the earth is nice. And yeah, so we're trying to make our space beautiful, and it's not just for us, it's for our neighbors and people who walk by, and just walking up and down the street with a mask is a nice way of getting out of the house. But even though I'm an introvert, I miss people, and it's on the few occasions I've gone to campus, it's quite sad not to see it bustling with people and, you know, the center of things as it always is. But it'll come back, and we'll do that. Otherwise, what else have I been doing? We've been Ben is quite a good pianist, so he plays, and I have sort of concerts at home, so that's fun. I love music and I love reading, and otherwise my job keeps me quite busy, as I'm sure yours does you. How do you deal with that, actually, the busyness of being a full-time student, a full-time president, and a full-time son and community member?
Yeah, just I guess time management. My planner here has helped me out a lot. It's a little packed, but
Okay, great.
definitely helps. And Outlook, and yeah, just kind of like what we talked about, just making time for myself, especially on the weekends to de-stress and learn how to maybe let the email go for a weekend and just focus on me for a little bit so I can be sane.
Yeah, no, that's so important. And actually, to all our students, focus on yourselves. You're important, and you need to take the time to think about yourselves and the huge amount of stress that we're all going through, not only students, faculty, and staff as well. And make time for yourselves, for your families, for your loved ones. It's the only way we can give to other people is to be as whole as we can inside. So, and voting is a way of making you whole. Right. So it's such an important election. I can't emphasize enough to people that I think, and this is just me talking, not the provost, I think this is probably the most consequential election that the United States has had in my lifetime. And just as a historical example, in 1948, South Africa had its consequential election, which decided in favor of white supremacy. And from 1948 to 1994, life in South Africa was not happy. And we don't want 30 years of condemning your sister, my family, all the beautiful people out there to 30 years of unacceptableness. So vote, vote, vote. This is crucial.
Yes, Long Beach State, make your voices heard. It's time, and we're here for you.
We are indeed. So go Beach and go vote.